my holiday, I visited the island Mallorca, Spanish island Mallorca, 2 weeks holiday.
Was it your first time there?
Yes, I was in Spain before, but on this island the first time.
Okay, so tell me some words about your trip. Did you like it?
Yes, I liked it. It is not something unusual. I compared it with Madeira, Portuguese island, which I visited before this summer,
Yes.
last summer. That summer, that island, I mean Madeira, the nature there was unusual, and comparing with this island, it is standard tourists service there. We stayed in the place in city Magaluf and Palmanova. It is very big for tourists cities, and Magaluf, it is like one big nightclub because nightlife there very intense, yes. And we had there some excursions. Excursions were organized very well. We traveled with Natalie Tours. We enjoyed making excursion there, and we also visited some places our own without guide. It was interesting in general. Mostly it is a holiday. I compared, for example, beach holiday when we are lying on the beach, and holiday when we spend most time for excursion. It was the first type of holiday.
Okay, I see. Did you have any problems or troubles during your weekend, during your holiday?
I think no. The weather was fine, except maybe 2 or 3 days. During the days, it was very unusual for that island. The temperature was cold enough, and it were rainy. It were rainy days, but we traveled. We had a trip to other part of Ireland. Maybe we were became cold a little.
Yeah, we were cold.
Frozen a little, but I can't say that it is a problem.
Okay, I see. One more question to you. Do you recommend this island for family couples, for young people, maybe for elderly people, for families with children? What's your opinion?
My opinion is this island mostly suitable for young generation, because lots of young people there, and as I said before, nightlife also very intensive.
I see. Very good. So, did you have a chance to visit any nightclubs, or it wasn't your plan?
No, it wasn't my plans. We were with our 2 children, and we didn't visit.
I see. Tell me some words about your language usage. Did you have a chance to use your English? Because I know and I know that Spanish people prefer speaking Spanish, not English. How was the situation?
We welcome only in Spanish each other with Spanish people, and I think it's all. We used the English maybe not so much because we didn't load into Spanish life. We lived in tourist area, and we were in hotel. Most of tourists there in this district, that district, from the United Kingdom, and they speak in English, but we didn't have many speech communications there.
Okay, I see. Anyway, it's great that you had a holiday because nowadays not so many people can have it. So I'm very glad for you. As you could see, the topic of our conversation today is changes. And first of all, I want you to tell me about your attitude to changes. Do you find them positive or negative factors in our life?
I think it is good. But I'm thinking now about changing, for example, job, and it is good if we do it seldom enough. I spoke when with other people about that, how they are thinking about that problem. Some people said that 4 years staying in one job, it is enough, and after that maybe a person need to find a new job. But more people, I think, disagree with that statement, and I don't know. I generally I'm trying to keep my life without strong turning or turning. But I didn't. I don't afraid of. Also, if it happened, we need to adapt.
Okay, I see. So, if you don't like changes so much and try to avoid some turns, you know, not very pleasant for you, does it mean that you are a conservative person, not ready for any new comings?
Yes, I think yes, I'm a conservative person, but it is also I can say about myself as a conservative person if I'm thinking about job, family, but maybe I can't say if I'm thinking about technologies, something new, methods, technologies, etc.
Okay, I see. I get your point. Tell me, please, but if anyway happen in your life, how do you adapt? What can help you to feel more comfortable with new circumstances around?
The first one, it could be good if we could understand what we are expecting in the future. And I can't say that I follow it to that advice in my life. Maybe if I follow it some times in my life, could be easier. Next, don't move. Don't move quickly. Maybe don't make speed decision, quickly decisions. Maybe the second advice. I think about my life. I changed my life when I studied in school. The first period when I moved to Moscow for studying in a university, when I moved to the one city after university, when I moved to next city after that, and after that I moved to Moscow. I think it could be named as the stages of my life. When we are moving to other place, everything around us has changed. We changed house where we live, society, etc., etc., style of life.
Exactly. I see your point. So let's have a look at these stages that you mentioned one by one. First, change happened when you were at school, I think when you finished it, right?
Yes, yes.
So can you tell me a little bit more? What changed exactly?
After I finished school, I started to study in Moscow. It is different. Originally I'm from Saratov, and I moved to Moscow, and I remember feeling of freedom, very wide freedom, and I could not go to the classes in the university. It was possible, but I remember after I finished the first year in the university, I changed my attitude to the studying, and since the second year I started to study more carefully, and I almost didn't miss the classes there. This short summary of my life on the second stage.
Okay, I see. I want to ask you, because also moved from a little town to a big city to study at university. Did you feel any kind of fear? Because something new and unknown was in front of you and you didn't know how to deal with it.
I'm trying to remember. I think yes, but not so much, because I was successful in entering when I can study, because I passed exams. I can live in the like hostel where people live, students live together, and the society was very friendly. I remember I studied. I lived in one room with two boys from Vietnam.
Oh,
Yes, they were very friendly, and after that, next year I had friends from my course and group where I studied. The society was friendly for me, and I think no, I didn't feel fear.
okay, I see. And one more question about that period. Family, right?
Sorry, would you repeat, because
Yes.
your voice
Can you
is
hear me?
now okay? Now okay.
Yeah. So, as I understood, you used to live with your family in Saratov, right?
Yes, with my parents.
So it means that your mom cooked and washed the clothes and did all the housework.
Yes, yes, yes.
So after you moved to Moscow, you had to deal with it yourself. So tell me about that, because you were a guy that time, and I guess for guys it's much more complicated than for girls.
Yes, I remember. I didn't study to cook for myself when I lived with my parents. I started to try it only when I was student. We had a turn with other students for tidying when we move the trash, and for cooking. I recognized how we can fry, for example, potatoes. And, it wasn't difficult. It was interesting for me, and I also cooked soup.
Good for you. So you were not afraid to try something new, right?
No, not.
Okay,
I did.
I see. So next stage, as I understood, when you finished university and moved to another city.
Yes. This city.
Where did you go? Can you tell me?
This city near Saratov. It is the city Balakova, in Saratov district, and it is located 20 kilometers from Saratov, from my home city.
Okay,
And I liked living there. I met there my future wife, and it was a very interesting time for me.
I see. Now you are married, and before you were single. Did you feel the difference between these two positions in your family, or in your life? Sorry.
Yes. I think maybe it is one of the most changing in life. Maybe more than changing a job. Yes, I could put it on the first
place. Yes.
Yes.
And tell me, why it was significant and why was it so important?
It is difficult to explain. It is absolutely different when we are with family. We are thinking about different things. From we are thinking about how to say style of life inside house. About maybe more had relationships with parents, with relatives than before, and we became more serious people.
Yeah. Can I ask you, how old are you when you got married?
I was 25, I think.
Do you think you were mature enough to become a husband? I ask you, no, it's not funny at all for me, because nowadays men, they prefer to stay single up to 30. Yeah, nowadays it's not common for people to get married when they are 25 or 26. So many people just prolong this period of freedom. That's why I ask you.
I don't know. Maybe I was ready for doing it. Maybe not. I don't know how I can answer for this question.
But anyway, you did it, and you still keep this marriage, right?
Yes.
So I may say that it was successful and the decision was right.
Yes, I think very good decision.
Yeah, I think so. And one more very important step in every person's life, I guess, it's the birth of the first child. Because before you didn't have any children at all, so do you remember your feelings and emotions that day when you knew that now you have a baby?
Yes, it is also a very significant change in life, and I remember how I carried my daughter, because we have a daughter and son, and
Okay.
from the house where she was born. And I remember when I walked with my daughter, carrying her in the special carriage. I don't know how we can named it in English.
You mean коляска?
Yes, yes.
So
Carry.
I forgot it. 1 second. I was tell it. I understand what you mean. So you can continue. Now I'm going to find out.
Uh-huh. Yes, I think it
1
is
second.
very, very big changing change in life, and
Yeah.
I think yes.
So коляска in English will be pram. Pram.
Pram. Okay.
Yeah. So this is it. Okay. So you also mentioned that you moved one more time to one more city. What was it, and why did you do it?
I received a proposal offer for a new job from the city where my parents live, from my home city, Saratov, and I moved with my wife and to this city, Saratov, and our children were born in that city.
I see. I guess you didn't feel anything special or unusual because it's your hometown, home city, and everything was familiar to you, right?
Not one second.
Okay.
That's okay. I think no, it was a very different life from the time when I was a child. I was involved in the process during my job, and I didn't have much time for free time, and for me the style of life in that city was mostly depended on the rhythm of my job, and I didn't mark differences between life in the first city in Balakova and in the Moscow when I studied before, with that life, because I was involved in stages in process of my job.
Okay, I see. I get your point. And after that, you finally moved to Moscow, right?
Yes, yes.
How did you find life in Moscow? Because many people say, and I'm not the exception, when I lived in Moscow, it seemed to me that it was completely different from what I had before. What did you think at first?
Yes, I liked Moscow since time when I was student, and it was my dream to return to Moscow, but maybe I didn't think about this dream during the time when I worked, because as I said before, I was involved in my job very much. It is, I think, yes, the style of life in Moscow is very different. I remember we visited every weekend. We visited the first years when I we moved to Moscow. We visited some sightseeings in Moscow, from Moscow Kremlin to parks, to districts near Moscow, like Abramtsevo, Sergeyev Posad, etc. And we discovered Moscow for ourselves with our children. It is different, and when my wife was asked about her life in Moscow and in previous cities, and if she could agree return to other city, she answered that no, life in Moscow much more interesting for her, and I tend to agree with that. Maybe I also involved in process on my job. Maybe I didn't feel I couldn't feel worse if I stayed in a previous city in Saratov, I think, because I didn't think about Moscow as my desire in that time. I think yes, it is different. Time here is moving quickly. Yes, I think we can say it. I used to live here. I noticed that every district in Moscow has its own charm, and people who lived who live in definite district, usually they are choosing for example, next flat for their children, the same district, this district, and I think every district inside Moscow has its own aura. I maybe don't like only one district. It is Moscow City.
Oh, what's the problem? It's too industrial?
Yes, but I didn't like it on the unconscious level. I don't know why, but when I'm there, I don't feel comfortable. Once I had a talk about conversation about proposal for the job there, and I decided not to move in that time, and I don't know. Every other districts I could accept for living, and when foreigners asked me about living in Moscow, I answered that in my opinion Moscow is very good for living, for everyday life, if we can say, because we had here very good transport system. I mean society, metro, subway mostly, and nets of bus paths and like this. And it is very suitable, comfortable, yes. In my opinion. Of course, there are some problems with pollutions, for example. I didn't have problems with with traffic, because for me it is very comfortable to move to the job on using subway, and I think
By the way, I'm sorry for interrupting. How much time do you spend to get to work?
Less than 1 hour,
Oh,
almost 1
not
hour.
bad. Yeah,
Yes, and
you're
during that
lucky, I
time,
must say.
during that time, I can read
Mm-hmm.
in subway. Now we can use iPad, and can uh, we have access to Wi-Fi, to
Mm-hmm.
internet
Yeah.
in most of lines inside subway metro.
Mm-hmm. It's great. So that was my question, and you just started answering it. When did you move to Moscow exactly? What year was it?
It was in 2000.
Okay, so 14 years ago, almost 15, right?
Yes, yes.
So I want you to think about changes that have happened to this wonderful city, to our capital. Tell me about it.
Mm, I I'm trying to I think for the city, I didn't notice many changes in that time. For that time, because for example, the stuff in shops was
Mm-hmm.
similar
Mm-hmm.
like this, and I mean products,
Yes,
goods.
yes, I
Yes,
understand you. Mm-hmm.
yes. And what else? It has been improving, but not extremely, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, not totally. If I compared previous years with that years, uh, changes were much stronger
Mm-hmm.
for Moscow from the previous time.
Mm-hmm.
For this 14 years, not so much.
Not so much. I see. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure you, as a Moscow citizen, can notice some changes that need to be done. What would you mention here?
For me, I would like to advise to our government to spend money for uh, bicycle tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Bicycle tracks. I saw as our mayor Sergei Sobyanin
Mm-hmm.
during his before his election, when a special time before election, when every politicians appeared in the public, and he also rode on the
Mm-hmm.
bicycle with his team near Moscow River. But it was action which was had a positive influence for me. I of course understand that it is action before election, but
Mm-hmm.
in that case I agree it is very necessary to try to improve, not improve, to take advance that movement. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because it is very good for nature. And when I visited other countries from Europe, and I visited once in Hong Kong. It is
Mm-hmm.
China, and I can compare it with Europe and with China. They use people. They used to ride on the bicycles from home to the job, and
Mm-hmm.
it is very comfortable. They didn't shame do it. And I know that Mayor of London, Boris, I don't really remember his second
Yes,
name.
yes, I know he rides a bicycle.
Yes, yes.
Exactly. Yeah, such a good way, you know, to escape traffic jams and to keep fit. Why not?
Yes. The problem for Moscow, because Moscow has a very big territory area, and but I know that some people, it is new trend, electrical bicycle.
Yes.
I didn't have it, and I think I don't need it. But if we could reach our job using bicycle, it could be acceptable, because the speed there could be 30 kilometers in an hour for by electrical bicycle, and it is clean enough as a transport system.
Yes, I agree with you. Anything else?
Anything else? I also agree with the Moscow government way when they are develop parks and territorium similar to parks. I mean VDNH.
I see.
Exhibition.
Yes, exactly. Tell me, please, what is your favorite park in Moscow?
I live near Moscow River, and area near Moscow River is my favorite, and I have almost every good day except rainy day trip at weekend in the morning, sometimes with my son, sometimes without, on the bicycle near Moscow River. I'm riding through the Воробьевская embankment and Andreevskaya embankment, Neskучный garden,
Yes, I
not
see, I
boring garden,
understand.
Neskучный сад,
No, yeah, exactly.
and Gorky Park and museum. And after that, we moved to the other side of Moscow River, and we come back through the Luzhniki. It is also very good area for bicycles, and it's strange that there are no many people there in Luzhniki, I mean. And it is also a very good place for riding. I think it is the biggest place, and I know it is not only my track, my favorite track, because I had a conversation with my neighbor, people who lives near my flat, and this man also said that he is riding exactly on this track almost every
So
day.
it's quite popular in your neighborhood, right?
Yes, yes. Sometimes my daughter also, but she prefers to ride on the let's say not a bicycle, rollers.
Roller skates.
Roller skates. Yes, yes.
Roller skates. I see. Okay. Is she good at it?
Not so good, maybe, but she didn't spend much time for it. From time to time, maybe it could be one time in 2 months, not so much.
I see. Okay, thank you. Tell me, please, if we look back at your life, is there anything you would like to change in the past?
If we are talking about serious decisions, I think no. I could remember some shaming moments in my life when I did something wrong, and I'd prefer to correct it, but it was not global decisions.
So nothing
Local.
serious you would change, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Also, I want us to speak about the world changes, because nowadays we face a lot of different decisions being taken, and of course they all influence the development of our society and world as a whole. So let's try to remember the biggest changes in the world that have already happened. What would you name?
Firstly, I'm thinking about last changing since this year about actions which happened in Ukraine, and before February, I didn't watch TV at all, almost at all. I didn't watch news. I didn't read it, and since that time I started to read, and I tried to cancel that habit because it especially in the beginning of the summer, in the middle of the summer, the actions were so serious that I tried to break this habit. Maybe this one. But for a long period of time, I think for our life, it is changing from a different society, from socialism to the first years during the capitalism era in and about technology, of course, it is internet. I couldn't imagine how it could be before, how could be easy to speak, to communicate with people from the other countries. And for society also, Saratov was a closed city, a closed district for foreigners. And I studied in school German language, and I didn't like it because I couldn't imagine that foreign language could be useful for every day, for life. Now it has changed. Yes, I think this changing most significant.
Okay. And what changes do you think people should do to change the world and do it a better place?
I think very important. I understood only in last few months. I think it is very important to have a free press, mass media. I thought before this year that mass media in the West are free, and my opinion totally changed after last actions with Ukraine, because when I see Yahoo.com news from Guardian, from New York Times, Wall Street Journal, etc. I think they are not free. Or very seldom, sometimes I can find a relatively, in my opinion, free opinion of
Anatoly, I don't hear you.
maybe this one. What else? I don't know what else.
You don't know. Okay. Anyway, we are coming to the end of our conversation tonight, and I would like to know what changes do you expect in your personal life? Personal life and work life and maybe social life, whatever it is.
I don't know. I'm thinking more about keeping my life in that way which it started to be before. I'm thinking about healthy, my parents, my children, my family. I oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can, but just some minutes ago I couldn't.
Okay.
Because I'm sorry, but I can see two people with the same name.
Yes. Now I think only one.
Okay, yeah, it's just
It is a tricks of Google Hangout.
Okay, I see.
I didn't expect many changes.
I don't expect. Okay, I see. So you want everything to be the same pace, the same. I mean, as good as it is. And what about work? Are you going to have any changes in the working sphere? Maybe being promoted?
It could be, but it could be stay the same. I can't expect it is as a definite action.
So, and you personally don't plan to change your work in future?
Yes, I don't, but if it could happen, I think I need to adapt to the changes.
I see. Okay. By the way, this summer has just finished, and can you please tell me some words and summarize the results of this summer?
This summer was difficult for politician life, for the world. This summer was difficult for Russia and Ukraine especially. And for me, this summer was good enough. We visited during the summer Spain, as I told before. And I rode many times in my bicycle, and I enjoyed improving life near Moscow River in Moscow.
It's great. Just lucky you are to have this opportunity.
Yes, and I continued to study English.
By the way, anything new? Maybe new programs, new sites, new ways to learn English?
I studied online using mostly two ways. The first one using Second Life. I studied using Second Life in a big enough school inside Second Life. And almost a year since February, I joined to Verblin through Google plus Hangout, and I found that it is more good for me, especially after I changed my computer, because now I use Mac, and for Mac using Second Life it is not comfortable working, studying, and I haven't visited Second Life a few months, and after that, in change of that, I use Google Plus Hangout. Sometimes I visited other events in Google Plus Hangouts. it's the best way for me for now.
I see. Anyway, you just try to keep fit this way. I mean, language fit, right?
Yes, yes, and for me, very important to how it is interesting for me. For example, after 5 minutes, I am going to visit the class about. It is series of classes about American presidents, and I like reading classes when we are reading a new article, and sometimes discuss about it. I think it is a very good way for studying, for practice, and it is also a good way for relaxing as a relaxation activity.
Doesn't your family object against you being so much online doing different English stuff?
No, no, they accepted that habit, and I share it with them sometimes subjects which we discussed, and it could add to our everyday discussion something new, because opinion or discussion about subject from different countries for foreigners, it is very often something unusual, not usual for our everyday life. It's
Yeah, I see. You see, at the beginning you told me that you are quite conservative, but now, I mean, if we speak about means of learning English, you are, I think, the most innovative person I have ever met. So you use all these different devices and find different sites and visit these online sessions, so it's just great. You see, not so conservative this way.
Yes, yes, I agree. Yes, it is my hobby, and I used to put this hobby in my CV when I found a job. When I was asked about my hobby, I compared internet and computer technologies, and usually it was welcomed by people who are offering a job.
Yes, of course. Nowadays, I guess everybody understands how important at least one foreign language. So I think it's brilliant to know. So thank you very much for your attendance tonight and for you being with me, for your interesting opinions. I'm really glad. I was really glad to hear them all. So if you have any desire and free time, so you are welcome every Thursday here at 8 p.m. Moscow time. So thank you very much and see you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
Bye.
So goodbye.
Bye.